Greetings. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. What is an incubus? What is a succubus? Traditionally, when we think about these spirits, we think of an entity that comes to visit you while you're asleep, pretty much has sex with you, drains you of your sexual energy, and the spirit stays attached to you throughout the day, spanning maybe weeks, months, even years, consistently draining you of your energy, draining you of your sexual creative energy. It's very difficult to fight this type of thing because in a way it feels good. So it's hard to fight something that's pleasurable at the same time as detrimental. Hence why addiction is so difficult to defeat. A friend, Amanda, has been in communication with me through Messenger. She's been going through an issue with an ex-boyfriend, male, who she feels is consistently, spiritually, energetically draining her to the point where it's difficult for her to concentrate and work on her projects. Likewise, at least two other female friends of mine have messaged me about similar situations where they feel that their ex is consistently draining them emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. This can pop up in ways of them going about their day, doing absolutely fine, working on their business, working on their schoolwork, doing whatever, and just the mere mention of him or him calling or texting. In one case, the guy's calling and when she picks up doesn't answer, real creepo shit. But she's got the feeling that she knows that it's him fucking with her. So these things seem like regular creepy behavior, and it is, but there's a spiritual component attached to it. As you know, dealing with occult matters, we have three layers to reality. We've got the mental layer, the spiritual layer, and the physical layer. Everything connects. Everything starts in the mental. It gathers momentum and energy and it becomes spiritual. And that spiritual gathers gravity and it becomes physical. So in order for effective magic to work, you've got to have your intent, you've got to fill it with spiritual power, and you have to do a physical action to make it work. So dealing with an incubus or succubus, which by the way are both predominantly male energy spirits, just one disguises itself as a female. You can find out more about that if you study. Particularly, you can find a little bit about that in here under the chapter of evocation. In any event, when these physical actions are taken by these disgruntled exes, they know that it's going to emotionally disturb these females. And not only is it going to emotionally disturb them because these particular females are quite sensitive in dealing with spiritual things, this emotional disturbance is going to disrupt their mental disturbance. So they're unable now to focus and to carry out their intent for their positive lifestyle. Right? A lot of them want to break away and break free from these males, but they feel unable to. They feel attached. They feel drained. They want to be separated, but they cannot emotionally and spiritually. They can physically, but not on those two higher levels. So what do you do about that kind of situation? And I'll admit, I'm not a saint. I'm guilty of doing the same thing in the past. So I think I'm pretty qualified to speak on how to escape this type of treatment. It's no joke that the mind is all, the universe is mental. The all is mind, the universe is mental. It all starts in here. Your singular decision is what decides what happens. Right now, under this new moon and all this retrograde shit, a lot of crazy emotional things are popping up and still happening, still carrying out. Particularly today, there's a very strange energy, very aggressive energy. But what I've learned in the past to really handle this type of thing is to slow down, right? When the outside world starts to speed up like a boiling pot of water, fiery flame bubbles bursting everywhere, you slow down. Right? You step outside of the emotion because that fiery flame gets you riled up in your emotions. And when you're being emotional, you're not able to think and operate on the mental level. So everything you do in the physical is going to be in disarray. So what you do is you slow down and you make sure that you separate from your emotions and you get your mind right. You get your intention right and you stick to what you've been thinking. You stick to what you planned to set out to do in the first place. Then you get the proper energy behind that, and you continue acting on your path. For the females, I like to call this technique the switch. Okay, the switch, because you got that decision-making device in your head. You can choose to give the energy to that person. You can choose to feel the suffering attached to the stalking or the phone calls or the texting or the attempt to make you jealous. You can choose to feel emotional about that, or you can stick to your guns in here and keep it moving, right? The perfect example for this is, think about how quickly it is for an attractive male to turn you off. How quickly can an attractive male turn you off? Sure, he looks great in the physical, but let's say he does something in his behavior, in his speech, in his mindset that is a complete hell no, right? So picture this perfectly beautiful, attractive male in your head. He's everything, right? Now picture him doing all the things that turn you off and not giving a fuck about it and still expecting to get some. Imagine that emotional thought process and how quickly you're turned off, how the physical suddenly doesn't matter anymore. I call this technique the switch. Amanda helped me come up with it. When you're being faced with this type of spiritual attack, right? This attempt to drain you, right? Because it gives the other person a feeling of pleasure at the very least, right? Unless they know what they're doing spiritually, they might get some other type of benefit from it. But getting you in your emotions and throwing you off track gives them the pleasure to know that you're not doing well without them, that you're still suffering without their presence, in hopes that you run back to them so that you can achieve balance with them. Although it's not real balance, because what kind of balanced person will force someone else into an imbalance to come seek them? So instead of falling for the emotional push and pull, stay centered. Slow down. You don't have to act on every impulse that goes through your head. Slow down. Collect yourself. Understand what your first intention was. If your intention was to separate from this person for a good reason, remember that. Activate that switch. What turned you off in the first place? It's not enough to say, oh, I know he's not good for me, but I still want this, or I still want to experience that. Now you're going into the emotional territory, and that is not a solid ground to stand upon, because the next step is to make a physical move, and now you're back with the person you left for good reason. Stick to your guns. The world corresponds with what you got going on in here. We're so used to the physical world taking time and going slow, because things have to take time to manifest. But the thing is, on the emotional level and the mental level, they manifest a lot faster. Okay, so that's why I say employ the technique of the switch, because you can instantly change your mind about receiving this type of spiritual drain. You receive that spiritual drain. It's not forced on you. You're not being pinned down and all your energy is being sucked away. You're choosing to give your energy away. You got to get out of victim mentality. Get rid of victim mentality. All right? That's for sheep. That's for sheep. You are not a sheep, right? Reclaim your power. Understand that if you are reclaiming your power, that means you're responsible for your actions, right? And if you're being spiritually attacked, if you're being drained, understand that somewhere along the line you chose for that to happen. Now choose to do something about it. Choose to reclaim yourself. Offense is often the best defense. No. Defense is the best offense. Whatever. You know your style, your technique. My technique is defense first, because that usually blocks off anything from happening in the first place. So get your mind right. Build your wall, build your castle, right? If you want to go and employ goetic spirits, demons, or angels, then do so. But don't do so out of fear and worry and, oh, if I don't do this, it's not. Do it from a place of power. Understand that, you know what? Here I am getting my world together, getting my shit together, and I'm not going to allow anything to throw me off course. And to back me up in my intention, I'm going to employ Vinaya to build a castle around me. I'm going to employ Marcosius as a defender, as a bodyguard, as a protector, as a bouncer. to block all that bullshit before it even gets close to me, right? You don't have to suffer. You don't. It's a choice. Now, yes, things take time. It doesn't feel good right now, but you make the thought first that you're going to get better. You make the thought first that you're going to improve yourself and improve your life. And you keep repeating that thought as an affirmation. I am style affirmations, right? I am balanced. I am whole. I am complete, right? I am happy with myself. I'm happy being single, right? I am statements. Keep those I am statements. Next, feel those I am statements. Visualize yourself in the future, being happy, being prosperous, doing what you got to do. Put yourself in the future and feel those feelings. Now step out into the world and act as if it's happening. Keep doing this regardless of what's going on the outside, regardless of what the world is showing you, regardless of this person that keeps calling or texting, regardless of this falling apart and that falling apart and all this shit coming out of left field. Regardless of all that, maintain your thoughts, maintain your I am, maintain your frame. Be ever vigilant. Exert your influence. Always be leading. I'm telling you this stuff because it works. Now, if you're done suffering, if you're finished with that, do what I just told you to do, and you'll be fine. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX777. Peace.